I was not born to be a philosopher. I was born into power. From the beginning, the world expected me to rule men, command armies, and preserve an empire that stretched from misty northern forests to sunburned eastern deserts. Yet inside me lived a quieter calling, not to conquer lands, but to conquer myself. As a boy in Rome, I was taught rhetoric and law, trained to speak persuasively and think sharply. My tutors praised my discipline. I slept on hard beds. I dressed simply. I avoided luxury even when surrounded by it. Why? Because I feared becoming weak. Power without character is merely decorated chaos. It was philosophy that first gave shape to this fear. When I encountered the teachings of the Stoics, I felt as though I had discovered a map for the soul. They taught me that the universe is ordered by reason, and that human suffering comes not from events, but from our judgments about them. This was not a comforting philosophy. It was demanding philosophy. It required that I look inward instead of blaming outward. I did not study philosophy to impress scholars. I studied it to survive responsibility. When my adoptive father, Emperor Antoninus Pius, ruled, I observed him closely. He governed with patience, without cruelty, and without theatrical pride. From him I learned that leadership is not loud. It is steady. He showed me that a ruler must first rule his impulses. Thus I practiced silence, reflection, and restraint. My mind became my battlefield before I ever saw a real one. Then came the throne. When I became emperor, the empire was not peaceful. Plagues swept through cities. Wars erupted along the borders. Betrayal crept into the Senate. My body itself was often sick, racked with pain. Many think philosophy is born in comfort. Mine was born in exhaustion. At night, in military camps, by torchlight I wrote to myself. Not speeches. Not books for others. Only reminders. Commands to my own mind. These writings would later be called meditations, but they were never meant to be read. They were exercises. Like sharpening a sword. I wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This was not poetry. It was a survival strategy. My work in philosophy did not consist of building a system like Aristotle, nor of founding a school like Plato. My contribution was practical, to live philosophy under pressure. To test it in war, disease, and politics. I treated philosophy as a daily discipline, like washing one's face or tightening armor. From this life emerged several central teachings. First, nature is changing. Everything passes. Empires decay. Bodies weaken. Fame dissolves. Therefore, attachment is foolish unless it is attachment to virtue. What depends on fortune is not truly yours. What depends on your character always is. Second, that human beings are social creatures. We are made for cooperation, not competition. Even those who insult us are parts of the same whole. When someone wrongs you, I taught myself to ask, "Is this person acting from ignorance?" If so, anger is unnecessary. Correction is better than revenge. Third, that death is not an evil, but a law of nature. To fear it is to rebel against the universe. I reminded myself constantly, you could leave life now, so act and speak as though every moment is final. This did not make me gloomy. It made me careful. Yet my philosophy was not without contradictions. I ruled as an emperor while preaching inner freedom. I commanded armies while writing about peace. I tolerated systems of slavery while claiming universal brotherhood. These contradictions troubled later thinkers. They asked, how can one speak of virtue while participating in injustice? Their criticism is fair. I did not dismantle Rome's cruelty. I did not abolish slavery. I did not refuse war. My Stoicism was personal before it was political. I focused on how to act rightly within a corrupt structure rather than how to destroy the structure itself. Some call this moral cowardice. Others call it realism. Another criticism was that Stoicism teaches emotional suppression. That it hardens the heart. But this misunderstands our aim. We did not seek numbness. We sought clarity. We wished to feel without being enslaved by feeling, to love without clinging, to grieve without collapsing. Even so, my own life showed the difficulty of this balance. My son Commodus, whom I raised, became a tyrant. In him, I saw the failure of both philosophy and fatherhood. He inherited the empire but not my discipline. This remains one of my greatest sorrows. It taught me that wisdom cannot be forced. It must be chosen. Thus, my philosophy was shaped not only by books but by disappointment. I learned that virtue is fragile in the face of power. That reason must be renewed daily. That no position, emperor or beggar, protects one from moral decay. My lasting contribution was not doctrine, but example, the attempt to live ethically in a world that rewards vice. I showed that philosophy need not hide in academies. It can walk among soldiers, judges, and rulers. It can speak quietly while the world shouts. And what, then, is the lesson of my life? It is this: do not wait for perfect conditions to become good. You will never receive them. Practice virtue in chaos. Train your mind amid noise. Accept what you cannot change, and change what you can within yourself. You do not control your reputation. You do not control events. You do not control how long you will live. But you control how you judge, how you act, and how you endure. This is the true empire. To rule yourself is harder than ruling others. It brings no monuments, no coins stamped with your face, no parades. But it brings something rarer, inner order. And in a universe ruled by impermanence, inner order is the only lasting kingdom. Final takeaway. The philosophy of my life teaches that power over circumstances is an illusion, but power over the mind is real. The world may shake, betray, and decay, yet character can remain unbroken. Live as though you are already dying, act as though you are already accountable, and think as though your thoughts shape the fate of your soul.